Being a family, you may hear pizzas being made on the very same table that we're presenting from. A teenager making pizzas, which can be a messy game. What do you reckon?
Oh yeah, very messy. Um, but fun.
Well, fun? How
Fun.
did you have fun with a family? I did not have any fun. Hey, thank you. Welcome along. This is my pal Gordon,
And
top guy,
Andrew.
and we're going to talk to you about what was it?
So we said
Record store day.
yes, record store day or rejection sensitive dysphoria.
I said to him, he said, we're going to do record store. He said, we do RSD. And I think, oh, right, record store day. No.
No.
So, what is it, Gordon?
So it is a rejection to intense emotional responses of criticism and the like.
Right.
Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Read that again.
Yep. So, well, let's see here. So, rejection sensitive dysphoria is an intense emotional response to perceived rejection. So, it's not a matter of it is rejection, it's a perceived rejection, okay, or a criticism. So, I had never really heard of this
Hmm.
until our conference. I think it was 3 years ago. Bryony came and did a talk about herself,
Did she?
and she brought in this RSD, and I thought, what the heck is RSD? But I did know about it. I just didn't know it had a name.
Right. That's interesting.
Because Sam will displays this very, very well with either hobbies that he used to like, that was a hobby that I then made into actually this could be a competition now, such as boxing or whatever. And when he went to college, he was doing a painting and decorating course, which he passed, a professional painter and decorator. But he can't do it for the fear of rejection or criticism about his work or about how he's performing in the ring and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So that made a lot of sense when I started hearing about it that way.
So, can I just add on some? So, for those who are wondering, Sam is Gordon's grown-up son,
Yep.
and Bryony is Bryony Farlow. And if you go back to, oh, oven's ready. If you go back to through the podcasts, there is an interview with Bryony on that. It's really not worth not missing. So, same thing happened to me. I was speaking at one of the autism shows, Manchester, Birmingham, London, can't remember which. And my wife went, she's one of these, she'll go to every talk she can get to. She
Mhm.
loves the talks. Some people like wandering around the stands and chatting. She likes the talks and she goes to them all. And she came back to me after one of those talks and said, I understand you now. I said, really? She said, yeah, rejection sensitivity is what she said. And I said, oh, I've not heard of that. So I'm the lived experience, the expert by experience, and no idea of what it was.
Yeah.
But you know the thing, what I do? I reckon I ask her if she loves me 100 times a day. Maybe not that many, but I do. I ask about that. Are we okay? Are we arguing? Is our relationship okay? Because um, that's the dysphoria, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So interesting stuff.
And it-
First I'd heard of it, I just thought I was a nutter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really did,
Yeah.
really did.
Oh, if you don't get the understanding of it, it is horrible.
Yeah,
And we'll go on to one or two. We've actually, so that we don't miss too much out, we've actually put something down in writing so that we can follow, not what we're going to talk about, just a heading, a bullet point,
yeah.
because we can talk about anything with our knowledge and understanding. It's just so that we don't get too sidetracked like we normally do, but we still probably still will, because we've got sidetracked already, because we haven't even introduced the podcast.
Oh yeah, it's called, hang on. No, please, I can get it this time. Hang on. Um, Neurodivergence, more than just a label.
More than a label.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
just
close.
about got there.
So close.
So it's neurodivergence, more than a label.
Yeah.
And this is about is it our sixth or seventh? I can't remember now. We're getting
Oh,
flying
oh,
along.
it depends. It's a bit like it's a bit like the Bible. You count in the beginning bit or the from the middle or from the front, because there were about 5 or 6 with just me.
Yeah.
And then I don't know whether I invited you or invited yourself.
Oh, I've invited myself. Most
And
definitely.
it's and you got the both of us here now. So yeah. And today we're talking about Record Store Day, or as socialists like to call it, rejection sensitive dysphoria. And so what do you do? Who are you?
So I'm Gordon Forsyth. I always introduce myself as a parent first. Two grown-up children now, both with diagnosis of autism, plus various other labels along the way. But I'm also chair of PACT, which I have been since 2014, but been with PACT for the last 20 years. So I've got a lot of knowledge within support groups and everything else, and then the way we took it down, myself and 4 other parents, that we sort of help as many parents and families as we can, really.
And what's PACT? You always forget.
PACT, sorry, Parents and Autistic Children Together is what it's called.
It's a community project, isn't it?
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah.
My name is Andrew Whitehouse. I'm a specialist in neurological disorders educational. I do observations, training, consultations. But like Gordon, I'm a parent first. And, and it's an ongoing challenge. Really, really is. Constant battle, constant battle to try and keep them on the right track. I've got 4 children. 2 of my adult sons live with me. One of my adult sons is really suffers a lot with this, that, and the other. And and you got to be you got to be on it. You got to be on it all the time. So that's me. Right.
Brilliant.
Okay.
So,
right.
It says here that it's mainly struggles for ADHD and autistic people is
Right.
where the rejection dysphoria comes in.
Right.
Would you agree with that from our knowledge of dealing with individuals?
I think if you look at any neurodivergence, the key element of all of them, even like dyslexia and dyscalculia and any of these things, the key element is anxiety. And it's hard being different. It's hard being neurodivergent in a neurotypical world. And as such, that brings on anxiety. I used to use a video. I had to stop using it because it became so dated, about a dyslexic guy going into a bank and trying to fill in the little form and trying to withdraw some money, and the anxiety and the stress leading up to that. That's dyslexia. So I would agree it's there. I wouldn't agree that it's more autism, ADHD. You think I do dyscalculia workshops. Sorry, I'll stop rattling on in a minute. I do dyscalculia workshops, and Gordon knows this story. But what happens is I will do during the day. I do an addition question. Then the second half of the morning, I'll do a takeaway subtraction question. Then in the first half of the afternoon, I do a multiplication. And in the last half of the afternoon, I do a division question. And the idea and the point being is that the people who have attended, usually adults, usually teachers, what they do is they show you all their different ways of getting an answer to these questions. That's point one. But how these are people usually with a maths degree, they're mathematicians, how hard it is for them to get up and do that in front of everybody.
Yeah.
And yet they will ask children 10 years old to do it without any warning.
Yeah.
And they're not mathematicians, they might be, and so it's anxiety the minute you put someone out of their comfort zone.
Yes.
And it's where is the comfort zone?
Yeah. Where is a comfort zone? And obviously we don't want to stay in the comfort zone, but we have to be aware of where it is and how far we can push that as well, isn't it?
Without kind of being cheesy, we want the comfort zone to be accessible though.
Yes.
Yeah. If you're climbing a mountain, you want a nice easy route down. If it doesn't work out, put your hands down to your face.
Oh wow, yeah.
So that's, I would agree and I would disagree. emotional pain that can be overwhelming. What do you reckon?
I would agree with that, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It does become really painful in terms of the self-talk that brings on the emotions, really, that is going in there. You're assuming everybody is disliking you, everybody's criticizing you.
Yeah.
I suppose there's a lot of children that I've supported outside of or on the outside, so going down the streets or in parks, things like that. And the amount of children that have mainly boys will shout out, "What the F are you looking at?" Or "Don't you look at me like that." And I'm looking around and saying, "Who are you talking to?" He's just been staring at me. I think,
Yeah.
how do you know you're staring at
That's
me?
your Sam, isn't it?
My Sam's doing that, and there's three or four other names I can chuck out doing exactly the same.
Yeah.
Why? Why do you think they're looking at you? Because I saw them. Okay. So for you to see them looking at you, you were obviously looking at them. So maybe they were looking at you because you were looking at them. No, they were looking at me, and they're taking on. They they're looking down their nose at me. They think I'm something I'm not, or whatever, and they've already had that argument in their head of they don't like me. But actually, they're just looking over.
Yeah.
And the pain that causes in their head and the anguish, I think, is really, really strong. And it's that stops them from getting the friendships along the way as well, I think.
And surely the opposite is also true, not being noticed.
In terms of,
In terms of, I this has maybe only ever happened to me twice, but as I think about it, I kind of feel it happens all the time. We're on a Zoom like this,
yep,
and you've got 6 or 8 panels up on there. It's a meeting, and I always feel like people forget to introduce me,
yeah,
and I go, oh, and they've invited me there.
yeah.
They want me there. They want me to speak. They want me to have an opinion. There's no agenda that they don't want me there. It's just that my imagination is going, they've done this on purpose. Well, how could 7 people on a screen get in cahoots to ignore you?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
And it was explained to me once, when you're in a group of, let's say you're in a classroom or you're a meeting with lots of other people, and they say, right, who wants to come up stage or who wants to come up the front and deliver their presentation or whatever they've done. And you rather get nobody doing it because they hate it. But in some of the circles we go in, people are desperate to go up there to show off how brilliant they are, and things like that. And they say, right, you over there, you can come, or we've got, whoa. I mustn't move.
It's your hands.
Yes, I mustn't move.
I was doing it as well. Look,
Yeah.
look, I do it to my hair. Look,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely your hands. Sit on your hands.
Yeah. I'll try and do something with them.
Yeah, that's what the nuns said, wasn't it?
Yes. What would I?
Just go like that. I am not contributing anything, am I? Stop
So,
that.
so we want to be noticed. We want to be picked.
Yeah.
Or the magician shouting, "Kids, who wants to come up the front and do this?" And everybody's hands going up. And then we were at. I know I'm sort of splitting a bit, but we were at Butlins one year, and Sam was desperate to be picked to go up onto stage, and he wasn't on this particular day, and he was so upset. Why is he gonna? Why haven't I done this?
Yeah.
Why haven't I won that ticket? Why haven't I done this?
Yeah.
I got really, really upset to the point of getting really angry. And I was at a business meeting where they were talking about how to understand body language and everything else like that. And they said, in a bowl of fruit of apples or oranges, one person can only pick one apple or one orange, or they can pick one of each. They can't pick the whole bowl. They can only pick one of each because that's what they want to eat, and they're just going to do that. They haven't got anything or any problem about the rest of the fruit in there. It's just that was the two that was handy for them to pick. And it's the same sort of thing here, is that if somebody's bringing up, they're not looking at you as an individual. They're looking at you as a whole and sort of saying, actually, you look as though you could answer my things today. I haven't even seen anybody else here because I noticed you as you walked in, and I was going to pick you anyway.
So what you're doing now is you're talking about making sense of RSD. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
What does it feel like?
Does it feel like? Oh, it feels horrible.
Right.
Your heart sinks. Yeah.
Mm.
Um, you automatically think you have done something wrong.
Mm.
Nobody likes you,
Mm.
and you feel as though you've got to apologize for something you don't know what you need to apologize about.
So I would say it's not like that at all.
Hmm.
So yours may be.
Yeah.
For me, you know you've done nothing wrong. You know you haven't upset anybody. You know that everything's fine in the home or at work. You know that it's not personal if somebody goes to speak to someone else instead of you.
Hmm.
The problem lies is even though you know everything's okay, you can't deal with that. You can't deal with everything being okay. Uh, and you will not, you believe it, but you don't believe it.
Yeah.
And then we get into confusion. And so that's, why do you feel like that? You know everything's right. You know everything's fine. Why do you feel like that? I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that comes down to confidence as well, doesn't it? Where your confidence is, because um, there's when I go through things, I've always come at it from, this is when I was a lot younger, not so much from hitting the age of 50
Yeah.
plus, so a lot younger. Yeah. Um, but I always felt that the other person was at a different level to me, regardless of their age.
Yeah.
So whether, even if it was a child, I still had them as that they knew more than me.
Yeah.
Um, and I had to, well, I was a people pleaser. I
Right.
have to please you to get you to notice me, to get you to not necessarily like me. I never wanted to be liked, but well, I did, but
Mm.
I didn't. Well, that was my aim. But I wanted people to know that I knew what I was talking about and I knew this. But I always felt they knew, no matter what it was, knew more than me because of how things worked out. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
And
definitely.
and
Definitely.
and whatever they said, I would never really argue with them. I thought, all right, I never thought about that. I didn't know that.
Mm.
But actually, they could be talking a load of rubbish. And my point, my opinion was right, but I wasn't confident enough to actually carry it through.
So can I say something about confidence?
Hmm.
Confidence is often a fake.
Yeah.
It's another form of masking.
Yes, very much so.
And so you know me as much as anybody else. We've shared some good times and bad times. Actually, we've only really shared bad times, you know. But we kind of, between us, we stumble from one disaster to the next.
Hmm.
And I feel we've stood by each other over the years, and we just do what we can to help each other. But here's the bit, yeah. I'm seen as a very confident person,
Yep.
unbelievably so. The pinnacle of confidence. People, yeah.
Hmm.
Am I, Gordon?
No,
Not at all.
no. You're well, you've come to deliver workshops at 10 o'clock in the morning for
Mm.
me, and you'll come in about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and you are, for want of a better word, a gibbering wreck.
Yeah.
And you're having to talk your way through getting everything out because you know that at 10 o'clock you've got to go out there
Be
and
normal.
mask.
Yeah. Horrible. Horrible.
Yeah, and it takes it out of you. And I know, because I introduce you sometimes as Andrew's brilliant, but if he's struggling,
You'll swear.
he'll swear,
Yeah.
and you'll get a lot of swearing depending on how much he's struggling.
Mm.
Because they need to know that.
They do need to know it because they're bringing up children. I'm just a grown-up version of what they're bringing up.
Mm,
Um, I'm obsessed with the end of life. I'm absolutely obsessed with the end of life, in as much as no, I'm not going to do anything to myself or anything like that. But I just go, if it's been so tiring. It's been so tiring,
mm.
and I saw the other night the Robin Williams. Now here's a guy. How confident? No confidence. Zero confidence. Have you seen the video the night before he dies?
No.
So again, I was looking at a mirror, and one of our lovely helpers, Stevie, says, "Oh, you remind me so much of him." Yeah, well, he didn't come to a good end, did he?
No.
And then you got there's another piece of footage where, you know, you're looking at confidence. You want to talk about confidence. I think it's one of the last things that Sid Vicious ever did. And they said, "Where do you want to be, Sid?" He went, "Under the ground."
Oh, wow.
You know, because you think of him, don't you, jumping about with all these like big hair,
Mm.
you know, and all the rest of it. But no, it's not, you know. And so, yeah, it's a fake. It's an absolute fake.
It is, and the saying is for a lot of people that are very gregarious and come across with throwing out confidence is fake it till you make it. You have to pretend that you know what you're talking about. You have to do this because you're going for a thing. But that in itself is exhausting. And your inner talk is all about the rejection and nobody likes me, nobody does this, even though they love you and admire and want to be what you've got, etc. It's not seeing other people's struggles, and the person with the SRD, no, RSD with the RSD,
Record Store Day.
the record store day. I'm always going to remember it by that. But with that is that we don't see anybody else as having struggles. We think everybody else's life is perfect.
Why is everyone else okay? Is it just me? So there's going back to that another Robin Williams moment. I don't know if I've done this on these workshops before, but it's worth hearing again. He talks about the guy that goes to the doctor, says, "Doctor, I feel really sad, I'm depressed. I can't go on, I really can't do this." Doctor says, "I know what will help you. Go to the circus is in town, and see the great clown. He makes everybody happy." He said, "Doctor, I am the great clown."
Yeah.
That's how I feel. That absolutely, you know, sums it up. But we're not talking about rejection.
No, but I think it's how you were asking about how does it make you feel? Yeah. And that I think what it is, and it's my child won't go to school, they won't do this, they won't do that, they won't go to clubs and that. It's the avoidance of taking a risk with something, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, if I go there, they might want to talk to me, but I want to go and do that. What if I can't do it? Yeah, they'll laugh at me.
I've never been to a works Christmas do.
Really?
Never. I went to the accountants one, but that was because it was more of a networking thing.
Yeah.
I went there, well, I think twice I went to the accountants one. But I've never been to a works Christmas do. I don't know what to do with these people.
No.
I can't talk to them. I can't have a conversation because I just, what if they reject me? What if they go, "Actually, who are you? Go away," or the words, you know, they're not going to do that. They're not going to do that, you know, and it's actually in the past caused me a lot of problems not going to work Christmas dues.
Yeah, I went to one of Mandy's work dues when we lived in Nottingham, and the people that were there, again, I thought they were well, most of them were millionaires, to be honest with you, that were there. But I saw them as being really, really intelligent people. I now know they weren't; they were absolute idiots. But at the time,
Technical term.
at the time, I had them really high up in my estimation. And I went to buy a drink, and these guys started to ask me questions that I had no idea about. And I gave the answers what I thought was they were looking for, etc. And they came back with something that I didn't understand. Now, I don't know if they were taking the mickey out of me, whether they were being clever, or whether they were actually engaging me and having a conversation. And I went right into myself and thinking, they think I'm thick. They really think I want to do it, and they're taking the mick out of it. And I had the most awful night, wanting to avoid everybody, even talking to Mandy, because I just felt so horrible because I could not answer and understand what this conversation was about. And I probably did, but it's because I had them in a higher estimation, is that I shut off listening to what was actually being said, and I was second guessing all the time, and the risk of going there. So it took me ages to get back into that sort of scene. Really
happened to me actually in a previous life, in previous incarnation, where I turned up at a family do in my battered old white Astra, and with my then girlfriend, now ex, mother of my 4 children. I said to one of the guys, it was a family do, You know, he was a close relative. And I said, I like your car. He said, you couldn't afford to put petrol in it. I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Really? Actually, though, in that, I don't think that's actually relevant because all I thought was toss up.
Yeah.
I just thought, they always say, don't they, judge a man on how he treats the waiter,
Yeah.
and so if you want to wave it in my face, I was nice to you. So but it's the stuff we make up in our head. That's the stuff.
Oh, it's
Do you know what I would like to do? I think I'd like to put a collage of Robin Williams quotes together and post them online, to
yeah.
see the stuff. That lack of confidence when you do the stuff that Gordon and I do, you can spot it so often.
Yeah.
Spot it.
Yeah.
You know,
And it's bringing that confidence out, and it's not surprising. I don't think it's surprising for the children because as we've spoken about many times before, our children are brought up with being told you're wrong, that's not right.
Yeah.
We'll laugh at them if they do something a bit
Yeah.
funny, and we're not hearing their conversations in their head. We don't know what they're going, and they're pulling themselves down as well because everyone else is pulling them down.
Yeah.
But people aren't meaning it in the way that they are internalizing it.
No.
And therefore, because we don't know how they're internalizing it, we think it's okay. We think it might be in some cases, don't do this, it's wrong, or don't do that. But in other cases, we could be having some banter with them and throw away phrases that actually is very, very damaging. And we're then internalizing that in the wrong way. We continue doing it. This last few days, I've heard 5 different parents say things. I'm going to have to say this. If you're listening, I do apologize, but I thought this was very, very funny, but it could be taken a completely different way. So we were at an event last night, and it was all for children. And the girl came running through and says, "Oh, don't go in my bag. You might see the adoption papers." And the girl stopped dead and looked at them. Said, no, don't worry. You're not adopted. We wouldn't choose you. And I thought, oh my God. And this parent thought he was being so funny. But can you imagine?
So banter. Do we want to talk about banter?
Well, I think it's part of this.
Oh, 100%. Banter. If you're fragile, banter's not going to work for you.
No.
That's it. That's all I have to say. And if you are neurotypical and you want to play banter with autistic ADHD people, be prepared for them to believe you're telling the truth. Really, just be prepared. I know a family whose the older sister spent years telling the younger sister that they'd been adopted. And what had happened was this particular family, there were no family photos for periods, just because they didn't have a camera.
Yeah.
And so, it was quite a plausible sort of, a plausible kind of statement to make, but yeah, no, it's awful. I don't want your banter.
No. I'm going. I've told you, I'm going away this weekend with 6 of my friends.
He's going to fetch me
5 of my friends.
He's fetching me some kippers.
Going to Whitby. It's the 6 of us. We've all reached the glorious age of 60. The last one was just 3 days ago. So we're going there to celebrate. But 2 of the friends that I've known for 48 years now, when we were growing up as teenagers, they could just banter each other and call each other really horrible names. And I'm there in the background. Why are you arguing with each other? Why are you fighting? And I did not understand. I did not get it. But they were going off, and I think, how can you be friends after saying that? And I was getting really, really upset and worried about how they were going at each other. But this is how they fed off their strengths, because they understood each other very, very well. They went to the same school. I was at a different school, but I knew them from church and things like that. And so therefore, we could get on. But the friendship and the understanding between these 2 compared to my understanding was so different.
But that's funny enough. I feel like I love saying it because it feels good. I feel like I'm a newlywed, but we're coming up to 3 years.
3 years soon.
Yeah, not that soon, but soon enough, and past 6 months. And I remember at the beginning of our relationship, and we had this, we were taking a mickey out of each other
Mhm.
and jokingly saying unkind things. And I remember saying, we need to stop this because one day one of us is going to believe the other,
Yeah.
or both. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't think it's healthy. Neurodivergent people don't do it.
Mhm.
They just don't do it, you know. Um, and if we do it, we really put it into parameters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely put it into parameters. And so, the banter side, it's too dangerous for your mental health. It's
There's an American thing, isn't there? The roasting.
yeah, that's
Have you
right.
ever watched the roasting? I just don't get it.
No, I don't like it. I don't like anything like that. I
No.
don't, you know, I live in a happy land.
Mm.
I only can have, I got to be careful what's around me. I can't have television on I don't like. I can't be around people that unnerve me.
Mm.
It's just in the roasting, you can keep it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
But yeah, very, very interesting. Very interesting.
So going on with this, the rejection, everything else,
Yeah, yeah,
and we're talking about the banter, etc.
yeah.
That comes into the difficulty of processing the reassurance. It's all right, I didn't mean it.
Yeah, okay. The reassurance. So I don't know. I'll tell you what I can't deal with. People saying nice things to me. I've got Ruben in the room. Ruben, do you like people saying nice things to you?
Don't really do anything for me.
No,
Like I say it, but I don't. Someone can compliment me, but I didn't do anything about it.
no.
I don't really think much of it.
And if they make a big compliment, so I'm
I don't
speaking.
know. It's not even like I don't like it. I don't care. Like it's not, I don't feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't really do anything.
So if you couldn't hear that, a big compliment to Ruben is, I didn't feel anything. It does nothing for me. I'm worse than that. I'm like, I just can't deal with it. I just cannot uh, cope with if you tell me I'm the best trainer in the world,
Yeah.
I can't have it. You don't talk to me like that because then I become imposter syndrome. Now, what was interesting was you said some very kind things to me about me at the last Lincolnshire Pact conference.
Yeah.
And you said that I was the face of autism, of neurodiversity in Lincolnshire.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you said. I didn't mind that. You know why? You didn't say it to my face. I heard it from someone else.
Yeah.
I think, didn't I?
Yes. I sent it in an email as well. So I had said it, but I also sent it in an email.
Right.
And so therefore you weren't, there was no confrontation of,
Wasn't it?
I've got to react to this.
Yeah.
And I think it's the reaction of, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. How do you deal with
How do
it?
you deal with it? Oh my
Yeah.
God. What are they expecting from me?
But it was okay because you didn't say it to my face.
Mm.
So then at that point, I don't have to make a reaction. That's demand avoidance, isn't it? Or the opposite of,
Yeah.
and I've got time to process it. And it's a kind thing to say.
Mm.
It's a kind thing to say. So I could deal with that. Do it to my face, man. I'd be like, oh, F off, man. Don't tell me that.
Mm.
I'd go into all sorts of spasms.
I was
Just a second. Stop. Ruben, there's some pizza sauces in amongst those Valentine cards. Go and have a look. Sorry, Ruben's doing his pizza. Sorry, Gordon, yeah.
No, I was going to say, big name drop here. I was talking to Olga Bogdashino yesterday.
Oh, were you really? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I was talking to Clint Eastwood.
Were you?
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp. Yeah. There's many.
Olga, how's Olga? All right.
Olga's doing very well. She's doing very well. And she was doing some videos for me for the subscription site.
Oh, right.
Pactfamily.com.
Yeah.
Plug.
Yeah. Pact Family, PAACT family.com.
Yeah. And she was talking about sensitivity and things like that.
Yeah.
And this was one of the areas she was going into. And it's, if you're wanting to compliment somebody or you're wanting them to understand, don't say it to their faces because they can't take it in. Do it as you're walking past their bedroom.
Yeah.
You can then say something
Oh,
out
really?
loud that
Yeah.
they can hear,
Yeah.
or as you're walking down the stairs, is, oh, I do love you really much, that sort of thing, because they will hear it,
Yeah.
but they don't have to react to you
Don't want
on it.
anything.
But they will take it in, and they'll be smiling behind your back or taking it the way it is meant. But in similar vein, if you're wanting to criticize or talk about something that wasn't quite right, don't do it in front of the child there or out of earshot from them.
No.
You have to do it away from them because they will take that in and have the adverse effect
Yeah.
of what you're trying to do as well, really.
Absolutely. And I was going to say something. By the way, Olga Bogdashina, if you don't know Olga Bogdashina, my recollection is, I think I'm right, she's the person that added sensory, the triad of impairment.
She is indeed.
So it's in autism, it's social emotional, lack of flexible thinking, communication, and Olga put in sensory. So it stops being a triad.
It does.
Although it did continue being a triad for a few years, didn't it? So
It
we've got so we've got that, and we've got that. So we had it was a situation. We had one of our lovely friends, one of our wonderful ADHD friends, was on the phone to me or the other day and said, "Oh, you know what? Stevie's been really good. Yeah, Stevie's been so good. She's looked after me. She's made sure I'm all right. She's checked in on me." Now, Stevie, I mentioned earlier, she's one of our just one of our friends at PACT.
Yep.
And she's a bit like that. And I said, "Stevie, I've been hearing great things about you." "Really?" "Yeah, really, yeah." And I told her who it was. I said, so and so. "Oh, yeah, she's been really saying great things about you." That's cope withable. You can deal with that.
Yeah.
It's like third party removed almost. It's just so far away, but it is the way to do it.
Yeah.
The other thing you can do is things like so one of my stepsons, he was going back to uni. He was an hour before his train. I'm sure you've heard this one, Gordon.
I have.
Yeah, and his socks drying on the radiator. It's a much longer story. It's a miracle we got the socks to the radiator, but we'll do that another day.
Indeed.
But he knew he needed to get his socks off the radiator. But man, he's a teenager. They forget everything, right? So I messaged him and said, "Your train's at such and such. What time would you like me to take you?" That in his head, he goes, "Oh shit, my socks are on the radiator." And so, it's about being gentle with people.
Yeah.
It's about being gentle with people. We don't believe it. Well, I do a workshop. I can't remember which one it is now, but it's some workshop I do. And I do a workshop, and in this workshop, you write a workshop and think, "That's a good idea, we'll do that." And it ain't a good idea. So the not good idea I had was, every one of you write down something you're good at, that you're really good at. People can't do it.
No.
They actually can't do it, So I had to change the activity to have a chat with the person next to you and write down something that they are good at.
Yeah.
I don't know is it Englishness?
I don't know. I think
you're
it's
Scottish.
I am. I think it's just fear of.
Yeah.
Am I going to be big-headed?
Yeah. Am I going to be the one that steps up here? Because no.
Yeah. No, I'm not sticking my head up there to do that. They'll hate me. Who the hell do you think you are saying that? It's the conversations we're having in our heads.
Yeah.
Somebody's dying for somebody to say, "Well, who's going to go first? Somebody please shout out."
But they're still frightened because they go, "What's that guy going to say about me?"
Yeah.
And often you hear things that you'd never say about yourself. That someone will go, "Oh yeah, she's good at being a friend."
Yeah.
And things like that, which is like the ultimate compliment.
Yeah.
And I can just about do it because I get told this a lot. I'm good at public speaking.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's other things I'm good at.
And the nice thing about
To you as well.
Mm,
Mm.
he was, you see, I'm having a conversation in my head. I'm listening to it, but I think I've got to get this right. And then,
As you know, last week was colours, wasn't it? We did last
it
week.
was colours, yeah.
In the last 3 minutes of the workshop of the podcast, absolutely fell apart. And I've had 3 people go, I love the way that ended. So people have been watching the podcast. Yeah, it's just so funny.
Yeah, because we don't edit.
We don't edit.
We don't edit.
No.
Whatever happens.
We've still got one that I want to put out. And it's like
the bonus
the bonus episode.
The bonus episode. I keep saying, Andrew, are you pushing this out? We're
Yeah,
putting it out.
I'm saving it for a rainy day.
Yeah, you see, it's me because I know you've said it. So where is it? Why is it not there?
Nobody cares.
There'll be other people saying, "Where's this bonus episode? I don't want this bonus episode." Because we're building it up so much, they definitely want it.
Oh yeah,
and they'll be so
the
disappointed.
reason it's a bonus episode is because it's rubbish.
Yeah,
It fell apart in the middle and we couldn't talk. And
well, it was just the wrong place, the
wrong place, wrong time.
etc., etc.
Come on,
and it was good.
come on.
And I've forgotten completely what I was going to say, which is probably a good thing.
I doubt it. You've always got good things to say. See, we're very good at putting each other down, and we're very good at putting each other up.
Yeah,
Putting ourselves down.
And bring up, which comes into, I think you said I was doing it at the very, very beginning, is the coping strategies of how to deal with RSD.
Well, did I say you something? Yeah.
Well, I had said something. You said, "Well, what you're talking about there, Gordon, is coping strategies."
Yeah.
And I think is it? I wasn't quite sure. But what is it? How do you deal with a coping strategy? How do you tell somebody to stop putting yourself down, to stop thinking other people are thinking bad of you and things like that? Because I think that's very difficult.
Well, it's difficult for people to accept, accept support and accept compliments and stuff like that, Oh, my wife came in last night and she'd had a nasty, stressful, you're doing it again, but
Okay.
she'd had a really stressful day. And what had happened was she's got a condition called sleep apnea, so she has to have a machine by the bed that helps her breathe. And fantastic invention, honestly. Massive improvement on health. But anyway, nonetheless, hospital said, we'll ring you up at a certain time and you can run us through how you're getting on. And she's decided, she's a teacher, she said, I decided to take the call at work.
Mm-hmm.
So I could just literally, when the phone rings, I can run off somewhere quiet, get in the staff room, something like that, take this call. Anyway, she missed the call. And it was followed up by an email saying, you missed the call, we're going to write you off from the NHS and we're going to take your machine off you and stuff like that. This poor woman, do you know what I mean? She relies on this. How many phone calls do you miss? Loads, right? So, she comes home, she's like all a bit, she manages to deal with the situation, just for those who are worried about her. Yeah, she dealt with it and it was all sorted, but still a traumatic experience, and come on, do you have a hug? It's like, it's okay, it's not a problem and everything's fine and you got it sorted and all the stuff that people don't always believe you.
Yeah.
And because people, we're just not wired up for taking good news, are we?
No. And it's so if we look at the scenario of you're in, let's say we're in a cafe or whatever, having a coffee, and we're looking around, but we're feeling a little bit self-conscious of ourselves,
Right.
and we're putting ourselves down within our self-talk. And then there's a group of people across the other side of the cafe, and they start laughing. And as they start laughing, somebody looks across the cafe. Now they're looking across the cafe to say, "Are we being too noisy? Are we upsetting anybody?" Me
just looking around at our environment.
Yeah, me sat in a cafe having my coffee, thinking, "What have I done? Why are they laughing at me? Why that? How? I mean, that's very conceited. Why would they be laughing at me? Why would they be thinking about me in the first place?" However, that's what we're thinking about. For me, how do you manage that? How do you cope with that? How do you get over it? Is knowledge. By knowing that there is something here that makes you think like this, I think gives you a bit of a comfort to say, okay, so there are things I can do.
Mm.
It's not just me being negative. Does that make sense?
It makes 100% sense. And actually, within that, you've also talked, you talked about what are you looking at earlier, very similar scenario. What makes you think they're looking at you, And yeah, um, it's difficult because now we're in sort of confined spaces with other humans. Cafes, they stick the chairs and the tables near everybody else, don't they? And if someone looks at you, you're like, oh, I struggle then because I feel like I'm not as invisible as I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it is difficult. Here's the thing, yeah. Here's the thing. I don't know if you've noticed, but coffee is £6.
What, for a jar or for
No, for one of those big frothy horrible things.
Oh, right, yeah.
That they serve you in a warehouse.
Yeah, I don't go there.
No, I've kind of stopped-ish. I'll go if I have to.
Yeah.
Get your coffee from Greg's, it's best. Cheap quid. But I want my coffee hot, right? So I'm paying £6, I really want it hot. I don't, because if it's cool,
Yeah.
you drink it real quick. That's £6 down the pan.
Yeah. Well, I remember going to a couple of places with you, and you're saying, "This is what I want, and can you make sure the water is extra hot?"
Yeah.
And they're looking at you going, "Out, what do you mean extra hot? You're getting hot water."
No, you're not. You're getting 60 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it's a grumpy old sod. But the point is, yeah, I have people that I'm with. I know, for example, my son Isaac, he feels like that I'm being confrontational if I ask for a hot coffee.
Yeah.
Because actually, firstly, they always ignore you. So you go, can I have the water? Can I have the milk extra hot? Yeah, certainly. One my coffee, extra hot milk, wow. And then what my new strategy is, did I ask for extra hot, by the way? I can't remember. Oh, great, thank you. Say it twice.
Yeah.
In a polite way, because it's really difficult, I don't want to be hated. I don't want to be disliked by the people I'm with, by the person serving me. Am I ever going to see that person serving me again? Probably not. Yeah. We went to one, didn't we? And we'd only been there twice. And the second time she went, "Are you the guy that likes it extra hot?"
That was over in Boston.
Over in Boston, yeah. Do you know, I appreciated that.
Yeah.
I actually appreciated that. So, if you're making me a coffee, having said that, we've got these flasks, right? Gordon had one today, and it's made out. It never goes below molten lava temperature, so you can never drink it.
Yeah.
The reason I like it hot, I'll tell you why. Is because then I can sit for a longer time enjoying it, enjoy the conversation, enjoy what's going down.
Yeah, indeed. We're always going off from one, Andrew.
I know, I love it.
And I'm hopefully you're able to keep up, because we are actually talking about Record Store Day.
Talking of which, I keep looking down there. Look, I love it when records come through the post.
Get some more records. That's why you laughed earlier, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm going to bring this up, Andrew, because it does really wind me up every time when
Is it my snoring?
Yeah, it is.
Can I tell you about my divorce? We like to sleep differently. That's why we divorced.
Yes.
So I like to sleep with the telly on quiet and the door open, and she liked to sleep with a builder called Gary. Okay.
Yeah. So when we talk about strategies, techniques, and everything else, every time it comes up, mindfulness,
what is
breathing.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Boring.
And
awful.
It turns people off.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, not again. It doesn't work.
Do you know, there was a woman in a school in Bristol, and I'd made the workshop. It was really good, but kind of funny and getting the point across with stories and how I like to do things. And she came up to me at lunchtime and she said, "Be mindful. Autism is a serious issue and we need to treat it as such. Be mindful." Do you know that's one step away from calm down? Be mindful.
Yeah. I mean, mindfulness does work. I know I said it doesn't
I
work.
don't think it does.
It does if you understand what mindfulness is. It doesn't mean just
Yeah.
sitting there and meditating. It can mean that, but really mindfulness is we're doing this today. We're doing
Yeah.
this thing here. All the other crap we've got on and going on in the background, yep, for the rest of the day and probably till I go away at the weekend. We're forgetting that. We're talking about this podcast. So we're being mindful, and all the other rubbish is in the background that we're not dealing with at the moment,
Yeah.
and we're not making it an issue for us. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's being mindful, so therefore I don't have to worry. But if I'm having a meltdown or I'm having this thing, to sort of say, let's be mindful, let's just sit and take a bit, let's just breathe.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, that's the wrong time, it's the wrong thing. It's
Definitely.
understanding when it is and dealing with it and acknowledging
Yeah.
and everything else.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that. I don't have the concentration to do that, unfortunately.
Mm.
I can only keep that down for a few seconds. And so it's you know, and that's another point, isn't it? You know what you need to do, mate? No, I don't know what I need to do. And you don't know what I need to do either,
No.
because we're all different and we all do different things, you know.
Yeah.
Some people, you know, some people go to their karate class and kick the crap out of somebody, you know. I 4 nights a week I go to a spin class. I don't like it, actually. I really don't like it, but two reasons. It's the only thing I do, and it just puts a bit of structure in my life,
Mm.
you know. But interesting, it's not part of my mindfulness. People would say, "Oh, it's helping." Yeah, after a hard day at work, you go to the spin class, you belly and
Yeah.
sweat, and you know. But in actual fact, you know, I've gone to the spin class. I've only done this once, and I can't deal with it that day.
Mm.
And I've said to my wife, "I'm going home. I can't deal with this." You know.
Yeah.
But so it's mindfulness is mindfulness. It's like the eye of the beholder.
I think so. It's what's going to work for you, and
Yeah.
and it's a knowledge of what tactics are out there. So yesterday I had a really positive day in terms of getting things done and doing various bits of where I needed to be. But come 4 o'clock, I knew I had another 4 or 5 hours of doing work with Pact, etc.
Mm.
And I was absolutely shattered. My head was
Mm.
killing me. And I knew I had to do various things on the laptop and that. And I knew I should go outside, get some fresh air.
Yeah.
But do you know, I was too tired to do that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
couldn't be bothered. I bunged the kettle on. I made a cup of soup, got a packet of crisps. And just by doing
Good
that,
healthy stuff.
of course, but just by doing that, my headache reduced and I actually got back to the laptop. I didn't have to take loads of time out. I didn't have to do the breathing, but it was a distraction because my head needed something to sort of say, there's a block here, get through it, and off you go. And so if I was to look at what the techniques are, deep breathing, go outside, get some fresh air, walk around the block and come back again, I think I would have forgotten what I was doing, my track, and then I'd have to re-stress.
Yeah, you've got to do what works for you, haven't you? You've got to do what works for you. And you know, there's all kinds of ways of releasing this. But just going back to it, rejection.
Yeah. No, we were still talking about rejection because we were talking about the strategies to deal with rejection or our perception of being rejected.
I'm looking at your list from here, and it says seek professional support.
Yeah. For some people, professional support is good there, but I don't think it's always the answer.
No.
I think it's just understanding that, this is a condition. This is something that's real. I understand this now because I thought it was my ADHD. It's not my ADHD. It's part of my ADHD. It's part of my autism. It's part of me, whatever. And I can do something about it. If I choose.
And it's interesting as much as your ADHD is what you are. So again, Stevie and I had a conversation yesterday. And she went, "Do you mind me asking, do you do medication?" and have you ever tried the medication? This is ADHD medication. And I said, I don't mind you asking at all, and I'll give you an answer. Now, she's one always puts herself down, isn't she?
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, I would say Stevie does have, I don't know, but I would
100%.
say Stevie suffers with RSD.
Yeah.
She may not know herself. I'm going to ask her when I see her again.
You won't have to. She's watching this.
I know.
She'll be watching this.
She'll
So she's like, she said to me, do you do the medication? And I said, well, there's several reasons that I don't do the medication.
Mhm.
I said, firstly, one of my addictions was amphetamine. And, we've got, Ritalin, dexamphetamine, dexatrin, all these things. So that's one reason. The second reason is when I've used those meds, they mess with your love life. I don't really want that. As far as I know, it's not a problem for women. Just letting you in there. But the most important reason is it's part of me.
Mhm.
What I am is part of me. It's not like I've got a terrible illness or anything like that. It's literally part of me makes me think in a different way, and that thought in a different way is what I am.
Yeah.
And so I stick with that. I've spoken to young people. I spoke to a 13-year-old boy a couple of years ago about that. I spoke to, what's his name? Comedian fellow, ADHD Foundation.
Oh no, Rory Bremner.
Rory Bremner. And Roy Bremner said he couldn't do his comedy if he was medicated.
Yeah.
And so that's what makes him his money. He's a comedian. That's his job.
Mhm.
And so, it is what you are. And the ups and the downs, and I'll give you a different answer every day on this one. The ups and the downs they're worth it. They are worth it.
Yeah.
And so, although I always feel everything good that happens with ADHD, you have to pay for somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's like a balance of scales.
It is, and I think we need to put this in here because I can hear some parents screaming and shouting about how the ADHD is affecting their.
Get away from my house, screaming and shouting.
I don't know where I am now.
You can hear some parents screaming and shouting,
Sorry,
but
yeah.
I'll get them off.
I was not expecting that at all. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's done. That's done, man. So
Come on, you got this.
yes. So let me talk about Sam, for instance.
Yeah.
When he was younger, he needed medication
Yeah.
because he just could not get in
So-
control of.
Yeah.
And so although he doesn't medicate now because he, quite like you're saying yourself, he is who he is,
Yeah.
and his ADHD and his autism and everything else is who he is. But back then, he needed something to be able to sow the seeds to get him to understand, and it did change. The medication did change him, but we have to look at it on an individual basis, don't we?
Absolutely. And it was wrong of me. It was wrong of me to not say, but that's me,
Yeah.
my story. But what do you think, ladies and gentlemen? We've come to the end of our
We have.
podcast.
I realise that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's all right. You're not in any trouble. I enjoyed it.
You should.
Yeah.
I feel
No,
like
mate.
I've done
No.
something wrong.
Nobody's rejecting you. This should be online by Friday, but you won't know about anything up until then because today's only Wednesday.
It is.
That's from the film Yellow Submarine, isn't it? Liverpool's a lonely place on a Saturday night, and today's only Wednesday. Yeah, get in touch, be in touch, watch the podcast. We've got loads of stuff out there. Loads of stuff out there. Some really good. Tell your friends. We really could do with the numbers. We're putting out some quality work here, and we really could do with the numbers going up a bit.
Yes, share us far and wide.
Yeah, far and wide.
Far and wide.
And we'll love you next time.
Yeah, and they can get hold of you, Andrew, at
whitehouseandrew@hotmail.co.uk, or if you want to join my Instagram, it's andrewwsen.
Brilliant. And for myself, pactsupport@hotmail.co.uk. And by now, PACT is PAACT.
Brilliant. Peace and love to you all. Thank you for having us. See you later.
Bye bye.